Hey everybody, this is a basically tooling that I built for model airplane helicopters, airplanes, helicopters. Started out as or helicopters. We in the old days you'd bolt your engine up here using these clamps, and this wouldn't be here. It's removable, and the clutch and then the fan shroud and the start shaft all stuck out from the engine back in those days, and you had to dial indicate to get that clutch to run true. And that's what I originally built this for. And as time went by, it evolved into a lot more. I put these series of holes in here basically for straightening helicopter parts. You could put a 10 millimeter main shaft through these holes with the bearings, and you could spin it in the bearings and dial indicate to see how bad the main shaft was bent. And if it was, you could move it over to this hole, like find the hot spot, mark it with a red marker, move it over to this hole, and just give it a tap with a dead blow and keep going back and forth. You don't want to beat on the bearings, in other words. And then tail booms, that's a 3/4 tail boom. This one over here was for a smaller tail boom. I forget which helicopter. Skids for model helicopters. And then these down here are just like 3/16, quarter, 5/16, 3/8, 7/16, just different SAE holes. I used to have an embankment that had railroad ties, and I had some stainless steel strips screwed to the railroad ties, and then I'd use 4 cap screws to bolt this to the railroad ties, and I'd run engines on it. And it's got slots here, so this leg moves back and forth. As I went to bigger engines, I had to like take a skim cut here to get a bigger engine, took a skim cut here, and then my clamp was falling off, so I ended up welding more extensions on there. I'm pretty finalized out on it now. I used to have a piece of angle that screwed into these tapped holes that held a fuel tank for glow, running engines on glow, and I don't know, it had a little throttle that was like right here, and it just was really too small and all too compact. So I ended up making, this is the first real job I did with my MIG welder, some 1/4-inch steel, and this is actually a edger blade, and you can tell it's still got the hole in the bottom there, and the Velcro is supposed to go through that little slot there, but I'll have to change that up. I was running a gas engine last time, so there's a gas fuel line tank over there. It can go on here as well. I must have needed more clearance because normally I mount on these 2 slotted holes here, but to get more clearance I moved it back to just 1. There's a spring tensioner right here so that the throttle stays where I put it. This is an old butter knife piece I had, and this is an old like crappy Chinese ratchet that I cut up and put threaded rod in there to hold it together. And you can see where it's milled out enough to clear the heads of these cap screws and a big washer, and that's your adjustment for the different engine sizes. And this bottom plate, for reference, is it's 9.5 inches long, and it's 1 inch thick steel, and it's 6 inches wide. And then these other blocks, 2 inch wide. This is like 3 1/4, 3 1/8, excuse me. And height wise, 4 inches tall. And but anyway, it's been a real handy dandy thing. And I was doing a Zenoah crankshaft that had got out of time, and I actually made this micarta bushing that's in here, and so now a Zenoah crankshaft will go right up in there, a G62, and then you can try to get the 2 shafts in line doing that. So anyway, it's a real handy tool, and it's just something I made, and over the years I kept adding to it, modifying it, adding more holes. They're all drilled and reamed, but I could never sell it. I use it 4 times a year. It's great for getting, like if you have a 4-stroke engine and the bearings are stuck way up in the darn camshaft, you can bolt it up in here and heat the case up with a micro torch and get up in there and snatch that thing out without trying to hold it in your hand. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, build you up one of these, man. It's awesome. See you.